Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. Celebrating our country's independence means taking extra safety steps across Billings.
We're just 1 week away from the 4th of July, and the Billings Fire Department will once again shut down some public areas to reduce the risk of even more fires over the holiday weekend.
As it has done in the past, the Billings Fire Department will close the Rims, Zimmerman Park, and Phipps Park during the 4th of July holiday.
Those closures will begin Wednesday, July 3rd at 6 a.m. Those areas will reopen the morning of Saturday, July 6th. Vehicle, bike, and pedestrian access is prohibited during this period. Officials will have active patrols along the closed areas during the holiday weekend.
Now, Billings Fire Chief Bill Rash tells us today the fire risk surrounding Billings is relatively low. But with temperatures expected to reach the 80s later this week, grasses will dry up within days, making them easy to spark.
Our big concern there, again, like it has been in the past, is folks like to go up there and like to sit and watch the displays. You can watch the ones in the Heights, you can watch the ones at Stewart Park, but many times people do set off the fireworks and try to enjoy themselves. It's a great view, and we hate to be the spoilers, but we know our community will support us in terms of being able to understand that the danger it poses to the houses in and around the rims. We just need all of our community to cooperate to help us so everybody can enjoy the holiday. It's a little bit of an inconvenience, but we just want people to have a safe and happy holiday.
Chief Rash also wants to remind you that the sale, use, or possession of fireworks is illegal within the Billings city limits.
Well, the Montana Highway Patrol investigating the death of a 53-year-old Billings man who crashed his motorcycle early Sunday morning.
Charles Simpson Jr. died near the intersection of North 13th Street and Minnesota Avenue in downtown Billings. Authorities tell us Simpson was driving a 2016 Harley-Davidson motorcycle east on Minnesota when he drove over the center line, started to apply the brakes, tipped the bike and slid, striking his head on the curb. Simpson was not wearing a helmet.
Montana Attorney General Tim Fox announced today that $2.5 million recovered from scam charities will go to cancer centers across the U.S. Now, that money is from a settlement against 4 fake charities, including the Cancer Fund of America, the Breast Cancer Society, Cancer Support Services, and the Children's Cancer Fund of America. A complaint against the charities and their founders alleged that more than $187 million in donations were collected, and just 3% went to help cancer patients in the form of care packages. The charity claimed to supply patients with pain medication and transportation when no such services were provided. The leaders of the organizations are accused of using the money to pay themselves large salaries, fund trips to places like Disney World, Las Vegas, and Thailand, and buy cars, boats, and houses. The lawsuit was a result of all 50 states and the Federal Trade Commission working together.
Operators at the private Yellowstone Club Resort near Big Sky have admitted to multiple violations of state liquor laws at club restaurants and have agreed to pay a substantial penalty. 4 partnerships that operate restaurants and bars at the exclusive club agreed to pay a $370,000 fine. Liquor licenses for the establishments also will be suspended later this year for time periods ranging from 7 to 20 days. The state initially proposed revoking liquor licenses for the club's establishments after discovering back in January that one bar and restaurant had been serving alcohol without a license and had hidden its alcohol during an inspection. The state also said the club had been using unlicensed warehouses in Bozeman to supply liquor to the club. The Yellowstone Club said its operating companies have accepted full responsibility for the violations and thanked the state revenue department for working to resolve the issues and the settlement.
A $12 billion plan to improve national park infrastructure is now getting support from the Trump administration.
But what will that money buy? MTN's John Shearer takes us to Yellowstone National Park to find out.
Imagine you're driving through Yellowstone Park in, say, 5 years. Chances are you wouldn't be seeing this. That's because if the money is there, all of the outstanding roadwork projects will have been completed. But park managers say that's not even the highest priority.
We've got some housing that's just abysmal. It's an embarrassment. We've got employees, especially some of our seasonal employees, who live in trailers with mold, trailers that need to be replaced.
Now, visitors rarely ever see the park employee housing, so how does that help them? Well, managers tell us that a happy staff living in safe and comfortable housing really does make a difference.
A huge part of our success in recruiting good talent is having good housing options.
The third priority then will be assessing all of those 1,500 structures here within Yellowstone National Park.
Other priorities include boardwalks and trails, bathrooms, and campgrounds.
If left unchecked, there'll be impacts on our outdoor economy. There'll be impacts to our gateway communities.
Public health and safety, employee health and safety, and visitor access are all the priorities.
So how is visitor access defined in Yellowstone?
Improved safe roads that include lots of pullouts.
The historic investment that we will be making in maintenance by literally creating a funding stream for maintenance from our public leases, we believe will more than meet the maintenance obligations of our national parks.
What the vice president is talking about is using money from oil and gas leases on public lands to pay for projects here in the park. But that idea is struggling a little bit in Congress. Republican Lisa Murkowski of Alaska chairs the subcommittee on interior appropriations, and she says that money is already spoken for. So it's no sure bet that there will be funding for this proposal. In Yellowstone National Park, I'm John Shearer for MTN News.
And former Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke first proposed using the gas and oil lease money for park infrastructure back in February of 2018, yet the measure remains unapproved.
Well, today, Governor Steve Bullock released his official schedule for his televised town halls next week, which coincide with the DNC's first scheduled debate that he didn't qualify for. On Wednesday, June 26th, that's this week, he'll hold a town hall in Des Moines. The town hall will be aired live in the Iowa capital city. Here in Montana, that will start at 3 o'clock. It'll be available online. Then on Thursday, June 27th, the governor will be in New Hampshire for day 2 of the debate and round 2 of town halls. This will also be aired locally in New Hampshire and available online starting at 5 o'clock here in Montana. Governor Bullock's campaign says he's qualified for the second DNC debate. However, qualifying doesn't guarantee a spot on stage.
Well, tonight on the weather, seeing clear skies and sun. What a perfect day today, Bob. And it's just going to get better.
You know, it's been so cold for so long. I mean, they were talking about snow in Bozeman the other day. So it's kind of nice to see things warm up. Let me show you what the week ahead looks like. Let me go ahead and show you. As we get this thing to advance, you'll notice that we are looking at temps 79 degrees tomorrow, getting up to 87 degrees by the time Thursday gets here. Then we'll roll it back to about 85 on Friday, 83 on Saturday and Sunday. But what about the 4th of July? Well, we got you covered there. Here's your 6 to 10 day outlook, June 30th through the 4th of July. You notice it's going to be a little bit warmer than average. Average this time of year is right at 80 degrees, so we should be in the 80s. We're expecting to see it a little warmer to our west and to our east, but also a little bit cooler down towards the south. So things are actually starting to shape pretty nicely. Finally, we're getting some summer-like weather here. We'll tell you the rest of the week's forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Well, Flathead hotshot crews have returned home from fighting the almost 1 million chuck egg fire in Alberta. MTN's Maureen Sue caught up with them to find out if the Canadian wildfire severity is a sign for us.
Particularly that northern part of Alberta is in a 3-year drought, so significant. And it was noticeable. We were in areas that normally you'd have soggy feet walking in, and it was dry.
This is what Flathead Hotshot Squad leader Matt Delaney is talking about. When they left, the Chuck Egg fire burned around 800,000 acres. Hotshot crews have a special job. They hand dig fire lines and move water hoses up to 15 hours a day. Shale Pagel says this is exhausting.
The cumulative fatigue of consecutive assignments back to back builds up, and no matter how much rest you get, it's hard to shake it off.
But could Montana see a fire as large as Chuck Egg this year? Flathead Hotshot Superintendent Sean Borgen says for now, Montana is lucky with its weather.
This year, that dryness is affecting that portion of the continent, that latitude. The moisture they usually would get this time of year has shifted south, just because of the movement of the jet stream and other factors. And so that moisture is coming in across the Pacific Northwest and the northern Rockies right now.
Borgen tells me that this consistent wet, humid, and cool weather is needed for the Flathead Valley in order for the valley to have a below to average fire season. But could this massive Canadian fire affect Montana?
No one can control which way the wind blows. So, you know, we could very well be dealing with smoke from Canada a lot this summer.
Thankfully, Montana DEQ says the state's current air quality is good. In Hungry Horse, Marin Siu, MTN News.
And there's no timeline for when thousands of residents in northern Alberta forced out by wildfires can return home.
Just over a week after the Brett Eldredge concert at Cove Creek Outdoor Pavilion was canceled, another show is now skipping Billings.
This time, Steve Miller Band and Marty Stewart are being forced to cancel their event in Billings for August 16th. Knitting Factory Entertainment, the same company behind the Brett Eldredge show, says it's due to unexpected routing and production issues.
A Facebook post says all tickets purchased online have been refunded and all other refunds are available at the point of purchase.
And there's still more statewide news on the 9 o'clock news right here. Here's a look. I'm Andrea Lutz. Buildings in Butte are becoming dilapidated, and the city says they have a plan in place to try and curb this trend. We'll tell you all about it. It's tonight on the MTN 9 o'clock news on the CW.
But first on tonight's 5:30 news here on Q2, a group in Missoula giving a voice to women who have felt silenced for too long. We'll take a look inside.
And later in sports, with just a month left before state, the Scarlets and Royals tell us why they're both confident heading into another matchup tonight.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.